Broke Canadians are getting so desperate they're turning to Dollarama for their groceries, and the Canadian media is encouraging it. Yeah, this blog spot that popped up is Canadian dietitian shares tips on how to actually grocery shop at Dollarama. Of course, there's a video involved as well. I'm just going to give you the synopsis here. Link in the description down below if you want to check it out. Food prices across Canada have skyrocketed, making those grocery trips a real burden if you're trying to follow a strict budget. But getting your hands on affordable and healthy options doesn't have to cost you an arm and a leg. One Canadian dietitian mom is proving just that. Eat your heart out. You can get ramen noodles all you need at the Dollarama. They're really encouraging people. This is crazy to me. And this is not just a blog, but this is the Toronto Star doing the same thing. I don't know where they're getting these ideas from, but it's really interesting that this is coming out. A week of groceries from the dollar store. Star reporter Tony Wong goes on a recession diet by eating food exclusively from the Dollarama for 7 days. I don't know how he didn't walk away from this without scurvy. Look at what he's eating. It's just absolute junk food. I get it. Get your snacks and whatnot from the Dollarama. But people are really, really desperate, and they're making light of this whole situation. It's really sickening. The prices of food are going up so dramatically, and they don't need to. This is the whole problem with this situation, is they don't need to be going up. This is artificially happening. This is our government doing this to us. We shouldn't have to be paying so much money. And where is this all coming from? Well, it's coming from the initiatives that they're pushing to save the catastrophic global warming catastrophe that is inevitably going to happen, they say. And well, they're doing this by adding more taxes to our just the plight of our lives, just everything that food, really, it really comes down to that. Moving ourselves, transportation and food. And this is coming in the form of carbon taxes. Pierre Poilievre putting this out there. A video where you interviewed a farmer and asking him, how much more is it actually costing you with all of these extra taxes on fuel? And how do you translate that? It goes right to your food. And this is where all these extra costs are coming from.
Your Alex, carbon tax. How much is it costing you per hour to run this guy?
$60 more since July 1st.
$60 more
an hour
per hour since July 1st.
Per hour to run one of these things.
Hint, it takes a lot of hours to make food. let's just put that out there. Farmers aren't just whipping it up real fast. They're out there with their tractors for many, many hours on end, making sure that, harvesting, planting, all of these things, tilling the soil. This costs a lot of money, and people are just so nonsensical in the government to impose these taxes and expect what, food not to rise? You're not just taxing people's SUV to get around. You're taxing food and even transporting the food to people's homes.
Right. And then so how much are you going to how much will your farm operation pay in extra carbon tax?
I have no idea what's going to stop. It's 1,000. I know it's 1,000.
Right.
This spring we burned 13,000 liters of fuel.
Yeah.
Just putting the crop in the ground.
Yeah.
So 13,000 liters, fuel's up 30, 40 cents say a liter. You do the math. 5,200 just for putting the crop in the ground.
The Trudeau tax is a tax on food. You tax the farmer who makes the food and the trucker who ships the food. You tax all who buy the food.
Unfortunate choice of music on the Pierre Poilievre campaign there. A little chipper for something that's so dramatic and actually happening to so many Canadians. But this is what's happening. Jagmeet and the NDP support Trudeau's new gas and groceries tax. It really is a tax on food at the end of the day, because what is most transported around the country, and what are we using these taxes for mostly? And that's transportation of food and the production of food. So it is definitely a tax on food. It's going to hit us on every aspect of the economy, but food first and foremost, and this is the most awful thing. Now, British Columbia has their own carbon tax as well, and this is incredible because British Columbia's government has put a carbon tax, the price on pollution, but this is really a price on groceries. It's a price on people's ability to feed themselves. In 2008, the province implemented the North America's first broad-based carbon tax. How is that working out for British Columbia? By the way, it started beginning at $20 per ton, and then it went up in 2019, rising to $65 per ton as of April 1st, 2023. Yeah, things are getting more expensive, but what's David Eby, the premier of British Columbia, saying? Oh, now he's urging the Bank of Canada to avoid the devastating interest rate hike in September. Why? Because people in British Columbia's housing is so out of reach for Canadians. Why? Well, it's because largely low interest for so long has bid up the price of real estate, and not to mention all the immigration coming into the country. More people, you need more houses, and they're not opening up. They're not opening up to new permits and new areas. They're not freeing up any crown land for any of this. No, and they're also not eliminating any carbon taxes as people's bills are going up and up and up.
Now, I'm hearing from British Columbians every day that are being crushed by the costs of daily life. And one of those big impacts that they're seeing is ever escalating interest rates.
I would love to write them a letter as well, saying the same thing, because it's impacting my life, it's impacting my career because I work as a realtor.
Oh, boo-hoo, realtor. Realtor who's been making so much money in Vancouver. Hand over fist. Realtors don't really do much for a job. They just they sell houses. They don't even have to scramble. It's been so good. The gravy's been so good for them for so long. Yeah, write a letter. Go ahead, write a letter to the Bank of Canada. Unfortunately, this is something that we're all going to have to deal with, because guess what? They're not going down. They're not going down until the market flips, and this is just the way it's going to be. Even Reuters writing an article saying, predicting that the Bank of Canada is going to hold their rate steady on September 6th. Home prices will fall in 2023. Sorry, realtor lady. You're still going to get your sales when people are selling their homes in foreclosure. And this is really where it's going here. For a lot of Canadians, and it really sucks, and it really is terrible that they fostered this kind of economic environment for so long. And they even promised people up until just last year that they were not going to go up with the interest rates, but the interest rates have been going up. They haven't made any announcement on the interest rates, but I was predicting that they will go up by another at least 50 basis points. But they may hold steady. Only time will tell. That we'll be finding out next week. More Canadian homeowners extend mortgage amortization periods. Big bank data reveal. Now, what is this getting into? This is getting into the fact that people are back-ending their mortgages because they can't pay the current rates with the interest rates. As so many people with variable rate mortgages, their mortgages were going up and up and up to the point where they couldn't afford to pay them. So what did the banks do? They say, okay, well, as a temporary measure, we're going to change the amortization rate, so it will push the payments out onto the back end of your mortgage, and then when interest rates do come down, then we can fix that rate, and then we'll adjust for it there. You can't do this long term. This is something that they're trying to just stave off the trouble. But it doesn't look like it's going to be short-term higher interest rates in Canada. And this is really the situation. So a lot of people are really suffering, and a lot of people are finding themselves impoverished in this whole situation. And of course, people on the low end of the income scale are been hurting the most, and it's been pushing people into poverty and pushing people into homelessness even. Now, BC, the Bleeding Hearts in BC are saying, well, they did a new study. They gave 50 people, homeless people, $7,500 each, I'm guessing per month. And here's what they spent it on. And well, interesting point in this, they actually spent their money wisely. Most people were expecting them to spend it on, drugs and alcohol and all this stuff. They did spend it on drugs and alcohol. It did show, but they spent it on things that were just to keep them safe and alive and housed. But interesting point that's brought up in this when it comes to the study.
The study did not include people with severe mental health or addictions issues, but it's something Zhao believes does not make up the majority of people who are homeless.
And that would be because a majority of people who are homeless now are not the mentally ill people who you would normally see in a vibrant economy in Canada. No, you're seeing more people who are just down and out because the economic downturn. But this is the way Canada's economy is going. Now, in the case that you would give $7,500 to people who are mentally ill, I don't think that would pay off very well. So I think this is a biased sort of study that's trying to point the finger at universal basic income being a viable option. I still disagree on that, but you can leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think about universal basic income. This is being pushed in Canada now as a thing, and these are the studies, and I'd say skewed studies, because they're not just giving it to anybody. They're hand picking the people that they give it to, just to show that people will be responsible. But True North putting this article out there, Canada's overall economy shrunk to 0.2% in the second quarter. Now, this is that on its face, that doesn't sound like a whole big deal, but they talk about 4% growth being the norm. It needs to be at least 4% growth, or we're in a decline, we're in a recession. So to see that we're at 2.2% in the second quarter is not good. The economy contracted in the second quarter as new construction developments and investment in housing are in the decline. As we're having a housing crisis in Canada, they're not building any new ones. And it's because it's too expensive. And yet, at the same time, we're bringing in many, many new faces, many new people into the country. And the numbers are not looking good, even on the illegal immigration front. They're saying that it may be up to the point where there was this census was off by 1 million people. Nonetheless, Gary Vidal, MP, pointing out just how ridiculous the prices of some of these groceries are while visiting in far northern communities in his riding this week. He stopped by the grocery stores to document food prices. PM Trudeau's carbon tax is making life unaffordable. He's out of touch, and the people are out of money. It's time to axe the tax. Look at these prices. $41.49 for a bag of flour. We've got $16 for milk, $18 for chocolate milk. Chocolate milk is a luxury now. Coffee at $26.19 a tin for Nabob. What is it? Yeah, Nabob coffee. I don't know who drinks that if you like that stuff. Kraft peanut butter is $15.29 in his riding. This is the real situation that we have in Canada. No wonder people are turning to the Dollarama. And this is nothing against Dollarama. Maybe they're making a push to turn their store into a grocery thing, and might be the reason why they're jumping out there with this campaign. If it is a campaign at all. But this is, it's a really, really difficult time. Again, politicians are pointing the blame at the Bank of Canada and all these other things. Just axe the tax. Get rid of carbon taxes and everybody would instantly see relief. This is really the crux of it. But no, they're stubborn on that, and they're, pushing to have higher prices for houses in Canada. Anyway, leave a comment in the comment section down below, or join us tonight live in the live stream. Every Friday at 9:30 Eastern, we do a live stream on this channel, and love to get the community out there. And it's a great time to talk about all these topics that we talk about all week long, and do it in a live format where we can have a community chat, and we get the chat up on the screen. It's really fun. If you haven't joined one, consider today to be the one day that you came out and joined in a live stream. Anyway, we'll see you then at 9:30 Eastern time. And if not, we'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.